All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Aspire to Inspire Live. This week, we are joined by Disco Donnie. Donnie is one of, sorry, excuse my voice. I just got home from Coachella and I can't speak, so mind me. Here we go. So Donnie is someone who is considered to be one of the godfathers of U.S. electronic dance music and now one of the leading dance music promoters in the entire world. Thanks for joining us, Donnie. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Very good, minus my voice.
Oh, it sounds fine.
It's a little raspy. It's attractive, right?
Been smoking a lot of cigarettes again today. Like
Absolutely not.
Three packs a day. Still, I told you to cut that down.
Okay, so what I thought we'd do is just start from the beginning. Maybe you can just tell us about your early career, when you attended your first rave, what that meant to you, and start with that.
Oh, the beginning. Well, first I had a crush on my second grade teacher. Fast forward. Sorry. I know it's bad. It's been a long day. Tax day. Terrible day. So basically, I went to my first party in '93, and it was the first time I had experienced anything like that. And it was a very small gathering. It wasn't even like a rave or anything. Maybe it was like 100 people, 200 people, but just the community of it and all the different people that were there, it just kind of drew me in. And I immediately knew that I felt like I always thought that something was missing in my life. And, I thought I had found it when I walked through those doors. I mean, it was an immediate attraction.
That's amazing. And talk about maybe throwing your first rave and what led to that.
Well, I started, I'll back up to where basically when I went to my first show, I was like, wow, there's nobody here. And, I think there should be more people here. And so I started promoting. I started off as a street promoter, but I wasn't even like hired by somebody. I would just take the flyers from the table and then go promote myself to make more people come. And after I did that for a while, a couple of promoters started noticing me, and they asked me if I could help them. So I started working for different people, and one guy told me he was going to take care of me, and I think he did like 600 people, and he gave me like $20 at the end of the night. And I said, okay. That's when I realized the light bulb went off in my head. I said, okay, well, I'm not going to work for anybody else. I'm going to just do it for myself. And that's when I started doing my own shows. And it still was, I mean, we're talking about, there was no money involved. It was still basically it was just like a hobby. I was still working at the time, but that's when I started doing my own shows. And the first show I did was maybe 500 or 600 people, $5 a head, but it was in a warehouse, like in a upstairs of a bar, but it was a warehouse space. And pulled it off, and I never looked back since then.
Amazing. And did you have a day job while you're doing this?
I was I was working at my mom's CPA firm at the time in the morning, and then on weekends I was waiting tables at night. I was hustling, basically. So.
And how did your mom feel about this double life you're leading?
It was very difficult, especially when I started doing more and I stopped working for her. It was very difficult for her to understand because I had gone to school for accounting. She wanted me to take over her practice. Like my whole life was kind of lined up for me. And, I was engaged to be married. And then I found the rave scene, and I just basically put the car in reverse and just backed right up the interstate. And it was hard for her to understand. I think she might get it now, but she was definitely not happy with it.
But still supportive?
Supportive, yes, but as supportive as a mom, that disappointed, let's say. But I told her in the '90s that this was the new rock and roll, and that it was going to be huge, and I believed that at the time, and she still quotes that right now to me, saying you were right. So.
Let's see. When was the first time she ever came to one of your events?
I'm not really sure. The one that I really remember was in New Year's of this was December 31st, 1999, which was like the big, the New Year's 2000, you know, the whole big deal. Everybody spent a bunch of money. And I booked all these DJs and did this huge production, and nobody came to the show. Everybody was scared, or they went to house parties and stuff. And we had always had great New Year's before that. So I think I lost like $100,000 that night, and I didn't, which was like the first time I had lost an amount of money. I mean, at that time. And I just remember when my mom walked in, I was upstairs talking to a bunch of DJs, and my mom came upstairs into the green room. And as soon as I saw her, I just started crying. And just in front of everybody, I was just like, screwed up. So it was definitely that's the one night I remember that she went to a show. I mean, she went to a few, but that's the one night that I really recall.
It's good that she was there, though, the night that you definitely would need a mom.
I don't think it helped. I don't think the crying helped, but that's what. Well, maybe. I guess I needed a good cry. It didn't make it. It didn't make it go away. I still owed the money the next day. So.
True, but emotionally, you were stabilized, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I'll go with that answer.
Okay. Can you tell me about moving to New Orleans?
Well, no, I was born in New Orleans, so that's where I was raised, and I lived there for 30 years. That's where I started doing shows, and in 2001, I moved to Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, okay. And okay, maybe we'll move on to that after. She's got some other stuff here first. Okay, maybe in 2000, you had problems with the DEA.
Oh, yeah, those are my friends over there. So basically in 2000, August of 2000, the DEA raided one of my events, and they came in maybe at 8 or 9. They had like 50 or 60 agents, and they searched all the sound equipment. They tore apart everything. They searched everybody in the venue. They had a theory that we were bringing drugs in before the show and selling them from backstage to people. So they thought they were going to come out with this big haul, and they didn't find any drugs. I mean, one bartender had a joint on him or something, but basically it was kind of a little bit of a disaster for them. But come to find out, when I sat down with my lawyers, they said, when they left, they said, you need to get a lawyer. And when we sat down with lawyers, maybe it was about a week later, the government was trying to charge us with the crack house law, which is it's 0 to 20 for any drugs that they bought inside any of my shows. And they had gone to 8 of my shows. So I never knew what amount of drugs they had bought. And then there was also another charge, which was a CCE, that's a continuing criminal enterprise, and that was 20 to life. So that was a little bit shocking for the government to be able to charge you for that, for doing parties. I mean, I was in a Ticketmaster venue and a theater that had Red Hot Chili Peppers and Nirvana, and so we're not talking about a warehouse or something. This is a legal venue, and for them to be able to come in and kind of run that test case against me was a big shock for sure.
Mm-hmm. And how did this affect your company?
Well, of course, I didn't really. I was scared, but I kept on doing shows. But I started doing a weekly at House of Blues. Luckily, I had friends over there that I had worked with before, and they took me. I explained the situation to them. They took me in right away. So the government was trying to charge me with doing shows, but I kept doing them. So it's like it's like they were saying what I was doing was illegal, but I just turned around and started doing them at House of Blues. And then I tried to get a couple of raves off at different venues, but they shut them down. But I never stopped. Yeah, so it affected it because that was like the big year of dance music in the States in the 2000s, like 2000, early 2001. That's when the numbers were getting huge, and they kind of clipped my wings. And it cost me a lot of money in legal fees. It cost me a lot of stress. It cost my family a lot of stress. So it was a scary time. I mean, I really had to look at. They were offering me a plea deal of a year, and I had to really look at taking that compared to possibly going to jail for life.
And is that along the lines of, it says here in 2001, you turned yourself in? Is that?
Yeah, when they indicted me, you turn yourself in. They told me, they told me that we knew we'd get you one day. They mess with you the whole time. So it's a crazy system. But I turned myself in. They let me go the same day. So it wasn't a really big deal. But yeah, it was just definitely interesting times.
Mm-hmm. And how did your decision to do that affect other promoters?
Well, I knew they were trying to, it was a test case, so they were putting a lot of energy into this. And this was a federal case. So they were going to take this case, if they could get a conviction here, they were going to move all around the country and basically take out all my friends. I mean, I knew all the promoters at the time, and they had to play into my decision. I had to think what was best for me, but I also had to think of what was best for everybody, so there was a lot of different things going on there.
Mm-hmm. And it says here that one of the reasons you didn't get sent to trial is because of how much support you had from public and stuff like that.
Well, eventually, when the legal system is very crazy. Like, I couldn't talk about it with anybody, and nobody knew what was going on. But once the government finally came out, like maybe 6 or 7 months later, and announced what their charge was, and I didn't know how the public was going to react, because I saw how they were reacting and I saw what they were going to say, but I didn't know how Grandma Smith in Tennessee was going to think about it. And basically, when they announced the charges, there was an uprising from the ACLU and on the radios and on the newspapers. So they gave me support, and from my friends, once they heard that, they were like, "That's crazy! Don't plead guilty." So once I had all that support, it really helped me make the right decision.
Mm-hmm. And then after that investigation, there was a rave act that got passed?
There was a rave act. Yeah, I think they snuck it through like on an Amber Alert bill. Mm-hmm. It was our buddy Joe Biden. I think he's still around. They passed a rave act, and basically a lot of venues were scared. I mean, I had shows canceled in other cities, Austin, and they blamed the rave act on that. And a lot of promoters had trouble getting venues. Nobody wanted to touch us.
What was the rave act? What does it say?
It says reducing America's vulnerability to ecstasy or something. I don't know. Wow. I don't know what. Yeah. Well, there it is. I'm not sure if that's the correct one, but that's what I'm going to go with. But yeah, it was basically, it just basically was a threat against venues. If they did EDM events or dance events, they could be prosecuted under this very vague law that was passed as a kind of a footnote to an Amber Alert bill. So, I mean, of course, what congressman is going to vote against the Amber Alert?
And so after that, like, tickets weren't selling, shows were canceled, just generally people were leaving the scene, or like what was happening there?
Well, I mean, they had some big festivals coming over here. I mean, everything was kind of moving along. And then in the summer of 2001, they had Creamfields coming over and a couple other big festivals in August. And we were like, oh, we finally made it. And basically, they started getting canceled because of low ticket sales. And then 9/11 happened 1 month later, and that really set us back. And by the time, I mean, it set everybody back, obviously, but I think the dancing was kind of maybe on its last legs at that time, and 9/11 just really, put it under. So it was kind of like a rebuilding all the way from there. Then the Rave Act came after that. So since from 2001, there was people around, but just wasn't as many people. And people weren't that interested. Everybody was going to hip hop clubs and doing their own thing, or house parties, or people just before in the 90s, it was the dance music was a fad. You don't have it like it now, where you had so much access to the music, and everybody's listening to it, and you couldn't get access to the music. You didn't know really who the artists were. So there was kind of like when the cool people left the scene at that time, there was no kind of there was no foundation to it. When the cool people left, the whole scene just kind of imploded.
How did you bounce back from that?
I didn't bounce. I basically crawled up the hill, really slow, on my hands and knees. It took a long time. It took a lot of. I didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, I always believed in it. I always believed that it would come back. So it was just like a long, long journey.
Is this when you moved to Columbus?
Yeah, my wife got a residency at Ohio State in 2001. And so we moved up to Columbus. And that's kind of when I started doing shows in the Midwest and kind of moving around up there. Because before I had just been concentrating on New Orleans, some Texas, maybe a little bit of Florida. But that's kind of when I spread my wings up there. And a lot of what happened was there was a lot of promoters had just quit. They weren't doing shows. So I just kind of went around and said, hey, let's do shows together. I'll put up the money. We'll split it 50-50. I mean, I didn't have any money at the time, but I was lying. So so I had fake money. How about that? I had good credit. I had relationships. So basically, that's how I kind of maneuvered myself around the whole country because nobody was doing stuff. And I figured that if we set up shop in these markets, that when it came back, we would have, we would have that market.
Mm-hmm. And then tell me about how and when you partnered with Insomniac.
I started working with Pasquale in, I think, 98. So I started working with him. I invested in like some shows and worked on some shows in 98, 99. And we did a show in 99 and there was a riot and the tear gas, rubber bullets, DJs like getting choking to death. So I was like, I don't know about LA for me. So I kind of put that on the back burner. I mean, we were good friends and we talked all the time. And, fast forward to maybe 2001 to 2002, when the whole market had crashed and we started working together then again. I was, working with him on Nocturnal and EDC in LA. And in 2007 or 8, I rolled my company into Insomniac and we made kind of like Insomniac, we decided to make it we take, a Live Nation of dance music in the United States.
Mm-hmm. And so you helped expand EDC to Dallas, Puerto Rico, all those kind of places?
Those were all markets that I was doing shows in. So, okay. So Orlando, Dallas, Puerto Rico. So, yeah.
Awesome. And it says here that your relationship with Pascal went south and you left.
Who put that? I didn't say that. Yeah, I mean, look, partnerships are hard. He's done a great job. I mean, it's hard to get two big giant egos in one room. So, sometimes things don't work out and, it just didn't work out, but unfortunately, he landed on his feet. Well, he was on his feet. I landed on my feet. So I think we're both very happy right now.
Good. Okay, so then you moved on and SFX bought your company. So now you're hosting some of the biggest festivals in the world. So how does that feel?
Well, when I left Insomniac or whatever, I started looking for something else to join, and I met up with Bob Sillerman, and me and a group of guys, we had a deck, and that kind of became the genesis of SFX. So I was the first company in, and I helped bring all the other guys in. So I mean, it's very interesting to be able to work with all these worldwide brands, the IDNTs of the world, the Plus Talents in Brazil, the Got Totem, One Love in Australia. I've made a lot of friends.
Definitely. I feel like you've also helped like a lot of careers that way too,
I hope so. I hope so.
Okay, so you have 2 kids?
Yep. 2 kids, 2 boys.
How do you find a balance between traveling the world and being a dad and a husband?
It's a little difficult. It's definitely one of the hardest things to do, and it's not a traditional type of a dad that works 9 to 5. The kids, I was there a lot for them when they were little because they didn't have, I didn't have anything else to do. So I basically, my oldest is 13, and I, for the first 2 years, I was the nanny, and I was working, talking to agents with the baby and stuff like that. So it definitely, I spent a lot of time with them in their early years, and they know I travel, and they understand what daddy does. That it's not the perfect situation, but when I tell them someday, hopefully you'll understand, why I have to go for this weekend or miss a game. I try not to miss any games. I didn't miss any games this year, and I didn't miss any football games so far this year. So
good. I think a good thing about what you've done with your life is it seems like you've really followed your dream and your passion, and I think kids feed off of that, and they understand that you're like a superhero to them. Like not only are you're their dad, but you've also built this entire career that you're so passionate about that I think kids really understand that. So,
I hope so. I hope they think that. I should ask them. I don't think they think that way, but I'll tell them they should think that way.
They will one day when they're trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to a section that's all about inspiring others and making people happy. And maybe you can just tell me a bit about like how you create these experiences that give people such happiness and peace. Like, what does that do for you emotionally?
I mean, that's a big part of this. I mean, that's one of the things that goes into it. That's a lot of the times when there was no money being made, or even when you lose money. I mean, you see that the people smiling, having a great time. It's definitely, it makes you feel good about what you're doing. It's like you didn't do it all, but you had a big part in making these people happy, and that's your job. That's my job. It's like I'm working for them. They think they're paying me, but I'm working for them. So that's what we want to do, is make them happy. And at the end of the night, even if the show did bad, but it was a good show, there was some mistakes made. We learned from the mistakes, but in general, you're not going to make everybody happy all the time, but 90-something% of the people were happy, then we did our job.
Have you ever had people who attend the events come to you and like thank you or anything like that?
I've had people come to me, thank me. I've had people give me bad nasty letters. I've had it all, but a lot of people are very thankful. I understand where they're coming from. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you changed my life," and it's not me. I understand but it's the scene. This scene changed my life. It changed my direction of my life. It's what I do. It's what I believe in. It's who I am. And so when somebody comes to me and is like, "Thank you for what you do," I understand what they're saying. But no, I'm just playing a part, a big part, but a part.
I think you're being a bit too modest about this.
No. Everybody has their role, so.
I know everyone has their roles.
I've been doing it a long time. That's the thing.
Yeah, true. But everyone has their roles, but you're the one that had that vision at such a young age, and you really followed that. So I think you should give yourself a bit more credit.
I don't know if I had vision. I think I was just blind or something. I don't know. I just wanted to have.
Passionate about something.
I was passionate. That's true.
All right, and it says here working with patients and not having your life lined up in your mid-20s. So what kind of advice do you have for people who are, say, my age and trying to figure out what I want to do with my life?
Well, I get these emails all the time, and it's from people I know and some people that I don't know, and I understand people are the standard of, maybe 10, 20 years ago when, you had to graduate from college, you had to get married, you had to have kids, everything's changed. And I think people should take their time and find out what they want to do, find out something they believe in, find out something they love, and try to go into that. I know a lot of people are trying to get into the dance music scene. It's definitely it's a crowded field, but there's a lot of opportunity for people, but they have to work hard, and they have to get a little break, and they have to basically just keep pushing. I mean, you're going to hear a lot of doors slam in your face right now. I mean, I can't even keep up with all the artists sending me stuff. I want to listen to it. I want to talk to them, but it's like, it's just too much. I have a lot of other stuff going on, and everybody wants that opportunity. And like I said, when I didn't get into this until I was after college. So I was like 23, 22. But people right now that are 24, 25 and feel like they need to decide their life, you have plenty of time. So just figure out what you want to do. You might not want to do this in 2 years. But if you want to try, I say pick out there's all kinds of different, careers and jobs, or, different kind of training. Pick out something that you feel passionate about in this scene and just go for it.
It's hard though. There's so much social pressure to do something important and feel socially validated by others that it's hard to follow what you really want to do, Yeah,
I understand that. But if you go along with that line of thought, you could do something that makes you miserable for the rest of your life. So would you rather make other people happy or yourself happy?
Bottom line.
Bam. Drop the mic.
Okay, let's do the Twitter questions.
Okay, it's wine time then. Sorry. It's
wine time?
Yeah.
Oh, jealous.
Very nice. Very nice.
Wine time.
I've been looking at it the whole time. I was waiting for the question. Why
were you drinking it the whole time? You should have
the wine. No, because I had to wait for after the interview was over.
Oh, okay. That should be a new thing. We should each have a glass of wine during these interviews.
You didn't get the bottle I sent you? Oh, somebody's gonna get fired.
Okay, so I've got, oh God, reading is hard. Okay, there's no doubt that EDM culture has changed over the years. What's your thoughts about the change, and what do you do to remain true? Deep.
It's changed. I think a lot has changed, but a lot of it stayed the same. So I always look for that common thread, which is the community of it, the social scene, the family aspect. The people have changed, the production has changed, the artist fees have changed. I'm sure everybody's changed, but I still see that thread that we're all coming together for a common cause type of thing. And, I walk around out there and talk to people, and I still answer emails when people complain about the show. I'll call the people, I'll talk to them, I'll email them. And so I'm still trying to give that same thing that I was doing when there was 500 people at the show. I'm trying to do it when there's 30,000 people at the show. And it's not always as easy, but I'm just trying to stay connected to what people want to do. Because again, I'm just trying to make sure that I want to do the perfect event. I mean, I know I never will, but that's what I'm trying to do.
Awesome. Great answer. Yeah, so I think that's our only Twitter question.
Okay, makeup one. Pete from Pittsburgh.
What's your favorite kind of wine?
Oh, favorite something, huh? Okay. Favorite color.
Not to ask that.
Favorite one, yeah, exactly.
I'm really jealous of your wine, actually.
Sorry, I'm serious. I had a really bad day. So.
You had a bad day?
Yeah, it was terrible today.
Why?
Just I had a lot of tax problems. I had a lot, Puerto Rico, U.S., and it was a crazy day, and I had to pay way too much. Obamacare, achoo.
Jeez. All right. Well, is there anything else that you want to talk about at all?
No, I'm just gonna announce my phone number on here so people can just call me for jobs. No. Anyway, thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you for being here and chatting. You've been very comical and entertaining.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna drink my wine next time. Both of us together. Wine.
Next time. both have wine. Okay, next time I'm just gonna have wine hidden in the corner and then pre-warn people, and then they have to get there. We'll all
right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much. I'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. Our next episode will be next week on April 22nd with Emma Hewitt. So see you then. Bye.